At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, everybody. Welcome. Let's get into this, shall we? 3, 2, 1. Yo. What's going on? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope your week has gone good this week. I hope you've had a good week. A video dropped this morning. I didn't really push it in very many places. I probably will eventually. But if you want to share this live stream and that video, that would be fantastic. But we talk about Pro Football Focus, who has Arkansas as a dark horse out of the SEC. I think that's pretty damn exciting. What do you think? That's interesting. I thought the piece they wrote up there was quite the endorsement of KJ Jefferson and Dan Eno. So, yeah, feel free to go watch that. Go catch it. I know this is, again, oddball time to go live, but we're here. That's what matters. We are here. We are live. We're gonna have a reaction to Sam Pittman, who took to he was the guy today. Him and Nick Saban at the SEC Media Days. Before we get into all that, I want to say a special shout out to Patreon supporters. How about our legendary status members, Thomas Nunley, Timothy Wisent, and Will Watkins? Those are our legendary status members. And a shout out to all Patreon supporters. I published a video on Patreon, not Discord. I mean, it's in Discord, but it's on Patreon. There's a cool little Discord video for you guys, for those of you who are not over in the Tuss Talk with Ty Discord. The access that you guys are given, if you're a Patreon supporter, it's absolutely awesome. It's really cool. So shout out to you guys that help make this stuff possible. Also, viewers, along with Patreon supporters. And, of course, this show's sponsors, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company, who's replacing your boy's door, garage door, that is, in here soon, hopefully in a week or so. So we'll be one step closer. We'll be one step closer to getting everything moved into the garage and making that into a studio. So shout out to them, Direct Service Overhead. Their link is provided for you down below in the description box. They offer same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes. Give them a call today. 501-244-3667. Also, the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzaria, located in Springdale, Arkansas, right here on Emma Street. Fantastic pies, IPAs, everything, anything you want. They've got it. Great environment. Good people over there at the Odd Soul. Can we call the season on, quote unquote, on yet? I'm so ready. It is talking season. I was on Mark Rogers' show earlier today. So what you got over there, more or less, that was more of a preview to what this is. We're going to go into a little bit more depth and more of a reaction, which is what this video or this live stream is titled, Sam Pittman's SEC Media Day Reaction. So we're going to go into a little bit of depth. Unfortunately, I cannot share any videos on this live because I have a paid promotion, which is the direct service ad that shows. So I can't post anyone else's content. Now, YouTube Shorts, that's different. You could do just about any damn thing you want on a YouTube Short, but when it comes to these live streams that have actual ads and they're monetized, it works a little bit differently. Beer Talk says, beer. What's going on, man? How you doing? Shahid Mustafa, coach said we got a lot in the locker room that looks like Landon. Oh, okay, yeah, and that's a good thing. Big old mean hogs. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we're gonna talk about him too. Why not, right? All right, when you're done here, make sure, again, you go watch that PFF video that I did. If you listen, it's that time of year, man. I know when I talk, it's funny. The pest control guy with Rumble, they're not a sponsor, but I'm going to tell you, we really like Rumble. I'm just going to throw that out there. They do good work, man. But our pest control guy watches this show, and he was like, man, this time of year, I'm listening to everything I can get my hog ears to absorb, my hog brain. It's on this time of year. I'm listening. I've got the podcast. I've got the YouTubes. I'm doing it all, man. I'm listening and consuming it all. So shout out to the Rumble Pest Control. I forgot his name. I apologize. But shout out to him. Hopefully he's also sharing all the content, right? Oh boy. All right. Let's get started. Let's pull up here the first. So let's get started on the first bit. Before Sam Pittman, and by the way, please ask any questions you've got, but just know I'm also going to be reading just straight off of my script here for this show, the bullet points. Sam Pittman, at the SEC Media Days, before he took the stage, he talked to the local media. And here are some of the things I took away from what he had to say. You could find these videos. There's multiple videos or footage of what he had to say. So again, not everything I'm going to say is verbatim. It's not word for word quotes. Just kind of giving you the rough, like what he had to say, the rough draft. Everyone healthy, coming out of spring camp, coming out of summer camp, getting ready for fall camp. Everybody's healthy outside of one player, and most of you know who that is. Everyone's healthy. And like I said on Mark Rogers' show, that is absolutely huge. If you want to change the physicality in which you practice with compared to what you did last fall camp, if you want to go in and just, you know what, buckle the chin strap, light the fires and kick the tires, we're going to beat the hell out of each other this fall camp. The best head start you could get is going into that thing healthy. They're going into fall camp healthy. Ty, do you expect some injuries? Yes, I do. I expected more injuries out of spring camp. Now, there were some guys that were a little banged up that didn't, that kind of got roughed up along the way. And I'm not saying that they're going to have a whole bunch of career-ending injuries or anything. God willing, knock on wood, okay? I knocked on wood, okay? Of course, but this is something we have to talk about. This is something we have to discuss. I do think as a result of being more physical, you're probably going to get guys get a little bit dinged up coming out of fall camp. Hopefully nothing too serious. And again, those things happen. Whether I sit here and say it or not, those things happen. That's a part of the game. It's a physical game. And I think Sam's approach is we're going to be more physical. So going into it without just missing one guy. Now, that's what he said. That's absolutely huge. I kind of expected him to name off, well, so-and-so and so-and-so's dealing with something, so-and-so, came out of surgery, things that we didn't know about because that's kind of how Sam rolls. Don't make me bring up the Bumper Pool stuff. When we find out a year later that Bumper Pool was playing with I can't even remember what it was, a shoulder or something, but we all knew something was up. But, yeah. Quincy McAdoo is the player. I don't know where I'm at with his availability in 2023. He was asked about it. He kind of gave one of these answers. It was like, yeah, no, when he's healthy and if he still wants to play football, then we'll play football, or he'll play, or we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, something along those lines. What I got from it, and you guys are more than welcome to go listen to what he had to say about it. There are things that don't really add up for me, like, and again, I'm not going to go digging for any more information on this until Sam says it or his position coach or someone comes out and says it. I'm not going to go digging. But what I got from that is he's not playing in 2023. I just don't see it happening. Now, or it could be a thing where he comes back towards the end of the year. I don't know. The vibe I'm getting, and again, go watch it. Look for yourself. You tell me. I don't think he's going to play in 2023. Also, here's some positive out of this. How about Dominic Johnson being medically cleared? I wasn't so sure about that one either. I didn't know what to think of the Dominic Johnson situation because of spring camp. Didn't see him, right? I mean, he wasn't practicing. He didn't have the, it didn't seem to, it wasn't completely out of the question, at least between myself and another person talking that he might have a slow start in fall camp at the very least. But it sounds like he's full go. So Dominic Johnson, and this was Sam Pittman's from his own mouth. He is cleared. Something else he had to say, and I talked about this on Mark's show. And listen, take this with a grain of salt. I'll just spit it out. Here's what Sam said about his coordinators that left. Quote, "I didn't want to lose my coordinators." Now, that to me was interesting because the writing on the wall to me was, or what I got out of that whole situation between him and Kendall Brown, or him and Barry Odom, was that there was writing on the wall that, listen, your defenses, especially the last couple of years, have not really lived up to what we kind of want. And when you consider the kind of money he's paid, he's a very highly paid defensive coordinator. He's got a competitive contract in the SEC. I kind of read that situation as though it's just not, we're going into year 4 and we still have a lot of doubts. They're struggling. It seemed to me like they were struggling in the portal outside of grabbing a couple of key pieces. Dwight McLaughlin and Drew Sanders were big gets out of the portal without a doubt. Latavius Brini was a good get, although we didn't really see the performance back that up on the field, unfortunately, not as much as we had hoped. Not saying he was bad, but just I thought we'd get a little more out of Brini. I kind of think there might have been this writing on the wall. At least that was my belief. Now, is Sam going to come out and say, I wanted to fire their asses? Of course not. Of course he's going to say, I didn't want my guys, or I expected the verbiage or the wording to be, we had some changes. We've heard this coach speak before. We've had some changes, and we made those changes. Something along those lines. His words, and it's, again, I quote, "I didn't want to lose my coordinators." And then you had this situation with Kendall Browse where it was like, he was skating on thin ice, I guess. He was flirting around with these other possibilities of being a coordinator. And, of course, we know TCU came along. And at that point, they didn't want to deal with it, right? So they went their own ways. Hired Dan Enos. Publicly announced Dan Enos as the offensive coordinator before TCU did with Kendall Browse. That whole situation was strange. That whole situation was kind of bizarre. Like, it was just weird. And I don't know what to make of that. As far as just how exactly I think that went down, I don't know that we'll ever truly know. We'll have an idea of what happened. We can all speculate and go on from there. The Barry Odom thing, though, I always thought that Sam Pittman knew he had to make a change. So for him to come out and say, I didn't want to lose both my coordinators, or I didn't want to lose my coordinators, was interesting, to say the least. Let's get to chat here. Heard a lot of good things from Pit Boss. What's up, Tony Brown? How you doing? I've been a fan for so long that I can't get my hopes up until we see the team. That's fair. Talking season wears me out. That's fair. I mean, I get it. I think as a fan of the sport, football and basketball, I don't listen to as much baseball stuff unless it's like, I mean, I try to take in what I can, but when it's football talking season, I'm all about it. I love the sport. I love, it's hard for me to just not want to consume that content. So it's something else to do it for what I do and to talk about it, right? It's a completely different scenario. So do you think the change of coordinators helped get that fire we needed for this season? I know that the team, it feels like the kind of moves that are necessary to rejuvenate a team that's on the cusp of becoming stale. Like coaches wear out their welcome. It's the same thing like when you have these fifth-year seniors who kind of, and I don't want to say wear out their welcome, but we've seen that over the years where they're, going as far back as, the Bielema era or since we've had this whole super senior thing, since we've had this COVID year stuff, you get this feeling like, man, we need rejuvenation. This guy's coming back for 6th year. He's probably going to start simply because he has the knowledge of the program and of the team and of the expectations. But, man, I really want new blood. That's what this feels like. It feels like a rejuvenation for the program. I think we'll have to wait and see if they have energy. We'll have to wait and see if it all comes together. And I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be real with you guys. Okay? Yeah, I have their ceiling at 10 wins. I've seen other content creators, other college football content creators say that, well, Arkansas could get to 9 or 10 wins, but their floor is like 8 wins. No. I think their floor is like 5 wins. I mean, when you look at the difficulty of this schedule and all the change that's happened, you guys, I mean, look at all the change that has happened in just the last several months. What they've had to do, attacking the portal. We're talking about some freshmen that are probably going to have an impact. You look at Luke, or you look at Haas at tight end. You look at some of the pieces in the secondary. You're probably going to have to rely on a redshirt freshman corner in Singletary, who came over here from Georgia, former 5-star player. There's a lot of new. And also Sam brought something up today too about not knowing what you're getting out of the guys that came in May. And he's right. And you picked up some guys in May, right? Fortunately for Arkansas, that's worked out in the past when you get these late guys out of the portal. But you don't know what you're getting. And I would even argue you really you have a better idea of what to expect going into fall camp thanks to spring and summer camp. But I always bring this up when we talk about certainty. I always bring this up. Sam Pittman told the media, he told Hog fans last year, not this 2023 spring, 2022 spring, he felt like they were too deep. And now, it's not verbatim. I don't remember the exact quote, but please look this up. And if I'm wrong, please, or maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly. Listen, that's happened. We've all made mistakes. But he said, I feel good about too deep in the secondary at every position. And look what happened coming out of fall camp when Sam all of a sudden is scratching his head like, I just hope we can field a team in the secondary. So I think they really could miss a bowl game this year. I think that is their floor. I think their ceiling is 10. That's a wide gap. And it's because of all the new stuff going on both sides of the ball, all the expectations. When you're a team that's really needing to rely on as many transfers as Arkansas is, you look at the secondary, you look at the wide receiver room, hell, you look at tight end, you just don't know what you're getting, man. And that's where there's this giant red flag for me. Again, I'm not saying they're going to go. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think they go 5-7. I don't think that. I think they're going bowling, absolutely. But I do think that is their floor. And I do that every year. Call it whatever you want. I really don't give a shit. That's just where I'm at. I think your worst case scenario, you could miss a bowl game. If KJ and Dan Enos, when the rubber meets the road this fall in September, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, they're out of sync. KJ, now they're in game time situation, and KJ and Dan Enos are not seeing eye to eye. That connection there is not what we thought it was. The new receivers all flake out, and they're all just not good. None of these they come from these small schools for a reason, and all of a sudden we see that come to the surface, and the product just collapses within itself. What about the offensive line? Look at all the changes. 2 new tackles? Yeah, no, your floor is 5 wins. That's your floor, absolutely. All that could shit the bed, and you're in deep shit. Defense. Look how horrible they were last year in the secondary. They're gonna be better. I damn near would bet shaving my beard at the end of the season. They're gonna be. I think they're gonna be at least bare minimum 15-20 spots higher in terms of total yards allowed. I think that is such a highlighted thing for Sam. He attacked that in the offseason. I mentioned that in that video that I dropped today. He attacked the issues in the secondary, and I think he's going to right that ship. Now, does the rest of it come along with it? How much are they going to miss some of those linebackers? How much are they going to miss Drew Sanders? Those are the things that concern me. The flip side is you got Jackson, who I'm about to talk about here in just a second. I'm really big on Jackson. Let's see, scrolling down. Sam Pittman at the podium. what's the minute mark here? We're at 20 minutes, almost 21 minutes. Landon apparently went from like 240, if I remember right. I have the fall sheet somewhere, what he weighed in at. I want to say it was like 245 maybe. My Pepsi Zero bottle bouncing around here. But I think some of this is being overblown, but I also understand why people are excited about this. When he reported, this is the actual spring. Okay, only media people have this. This is the people who were there. This is the 2023 spring roster, at least this actual physical sheet. I've got some notes that I've made. Well, no. Wrong sheet. But anyways, here he is, number 40, Landon Jackson, 6'7", 269 pounds. Okay, so he's at 280. Okay, he gained 11 pounds at least since May and June, and now we're more than halfway through July. Okay, that's great. I'm glad he's that size. Some people are making it out like, wow, he's gained 45 pounds since, May. No. He's gained about 11 pounds. The splash was in the spring when he reported at 6'7", 269. That was the difference. He had gained a little bit of weight. The total weight, and I think that's where people got it right, his total weight difference is something like it's 30 pounds or more. I mean, he just piled on the weight during the off season. Those people that are pointing that out are 100% correct. But I've seen some people talk about, wow, he gained 45 pounds since spring. No, that's not right. He was 269. It's right there. I've got it right here in front of me. 269 pounds. That's a big dude, man. 6'7", 280 pounds. Holy shit. That's a big human being, okay? That's a big guy. And listen, as someone who's walked right by him on the football field, even though I'm not wearing cleats, he looks every bit of that, right? Like just that, the length-wise. Now, the weight, I probably would have guessed at like 250 off the top of my head, right? 250, 255. But the fact that he was 200, almost 200, whatever it was, 270 is saying something, man. He packed it on. But he's got the length. He's got these long arms. Oh, I just think he's going to have an impact. That's the reason why he's one of the reasons why I don't think they miss a bowl game this year. He's one of the reasons. And like I said on Mark's show, I am so impressed with how well they attacked the issues in the secondary. I do think pretty highly of some of these wide receivers, but I don't overlook the fact that these guys may have just looked good against the secondary that was really struggling even then after the portal guys arrived, that was really just taking advantage of a secondary that was trying to recoup and refine itself. That could be the case. But what I saw was pretty impressive out of the wide receiver group. All right, so Landon Jackson, 280 pounds. That's awesome. Sam also mentioned the Liberty Bowl victory over KU despite not having 9 starters. I'm glad he brought that up because it does show you, at least on some level, they bounced back from that. I mean, that's adversity, man. To get dismantled like that, to have 9 starters. I think that's what he said, and I think that's right. I think it was. I think off the top of my head, I thought it was like 6 or 7. He said 9. Now, that could have also been a special teams guy. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember all the names of the people. But we know there were some really big names that were not on the roster for that Liberty Bowl, and you really should have beat the holy hell out of them. We know that the officiating in the second half was atrocious. They really let KU back into the game, and then all the momentum was lost, and it looked like Arkansas was maybe going to lose that game, but not really. I mean, we all kind of knew, no, they're going to win. Sam admitted he needed to get into the analytics more, kind of like the whole Lane Kiffin going for it on 4th down, all that stuff. Good to hear that. It's good to hear that he's open to the idea that I had to change some things. He also talked about looking at his team and kind of looking in a mirror, looking at himself and his team in the mirror and making the adjustments needed. And again, that goes back to the secondary and all the issues. Sam says in the portal, they addressed all their issues. They added everywhere but running back. Please go back and correct me if I'm wrong or whatever. But I think it was something along those lines. The point being they really attacked the portal. So he was asked, let's get to the questions from the media. Again, he was asked about the portal. I think he's had just 2 players that are still on the team from the 2020 team. Sam, and we've talked about this a little bit, and it was Trey Biddy that I believe asked this question, but we've heard Sam talk about his change in approach to players that are going into the portal. Now, he didn't go into depth here about that, but he has changed. He's changed his approach to that, and I think it showed this year. You didn't have the mass exodus. Now, are we kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop after the season? That's always a possibility thanks to the portal. Even with the rule changes, it's still a possibility. But I think he wants to be more accessible, especially if there's any friction. You know, if someone's about to enter the portal, you know, I think he's gonna take a more hands-on approach. Now, there was an interesting question. He called the guy, oh man, Garth Brooks, and his name was like Clint Brooks, and he's from On 3. But Sam kind of cracked a joke about, thought you said you were Garth Brooks. I was going to get your autograph, something along those lines. The guy asked, and I wish I had gone back and rewatched or listened to what he asked. I'm going to try and go back and find it. But it was something along the lines of, you're going from Kendall Briles' explosive offense. Remember, Arkansas in total offense. We're not talking about scoring. In terms of yardage, you're going from that. And he kind of throws shade at Dan Enos in his line of questioning about, you know, you're going from Kendall Briles to Dan Enos. The way it came across to me, and I think the SEC Network guys, their panel brought this up to Sam, and I always forget the guy's name, the former Alabama quarterback. I always slip on his name. But he had said he was offended by that question. And I don't have a problem with media members asking tough questions, but the way that question was framed was basically like, hey, you're going from this guy who had all this yardage or this fantastic offensive coordinator to this Dan Enos guy who's not known for great offense. Something, and I wish Sam had really combated this question more. His response was basically, I hired Dan Enos because he was a hell of a coach. And he's not wrong. If you look back at Arkansas's history in total offense, now this is coming from Sam, I would have thought it was like 5 or 6 times that they had done this, but Arkansas's only ever crossed the 6,000 total yard total in a season. They've only crossed 6,000 yards 3 times in school history. At least since they went to a 12-game format, I would have thought Arkansas would have a couple more, you know, maybe during the Darren McFadden days, you know, that 06 season. And it turns out even that offense was a little shy of that. But it's only happened 3 times. It happened in 2010 under Bobby Petrino. And, yeah, it happened this last season under Kendall Briles. And it happened in 2015. 2015, which Dan Enos was the coordinator, you crossed 6,000 yards. In fact, I have it pulled up here. Let's see, 2010, they had 6,200 yards, 6,273 total yards of offense. 2015, 6,051 total yards of offense. In 2022, they had 6,100 yards total offense. Yeah, I mean, Kendall, in terms of getting yards, that's great. At the end of the day, who gives a shit if you're not scoring? Kendall Briles' red zone offense was not good last year. I mean, you were in the – I don't know where they finished, but I know the regular season they were something like 75th in the country in red zone efficiency. They were not good in the red zone. Enos at Maryland, and while I don't know if this reporter just didn't do his homework, but they were like in the top 30. And he also must have overlooked the 2015 season when Arkansas, again, had over 6,000 yards of offense. What the hell are you talking about? They also averaged almost 36 points a game in 2015. They produced 2,500 yards on the ground and almost 3,500 yards of yardage through the air. I don't know that cat did all of his homework. If you're going to go up there and you're going to ask a question like that, maybe you would look back at the last time Enos was here and look at his total yardage. Now, maybe I'm looking at the wrong piece of wrong PDF file here, but I'm looking at, and this is from ArkansasRazorbacks.com/stats/football/2015. And it says right here on my screen, passing yards 3,486, rushing yards 2,565, grand total of 6,051 yards. You've done that 3 times in school history, and Enos was a part of it. And not only that, they scored during the regular season. They didn't have to wait on a bowl game. I was a little, and the more I kind of looked into that, the more I thought, there's no way in hell I'm going to get up and ask that kind of question without at least looking at this first. So I'm glad that the SEC media guys kind of called that out a little bit because, Enos, you're not going from an elite offense in terms of scoring, which is what matters. You're not talking about going from an elite offense to a pile of shit in terms of these two coaches' resumes. Let's not forget what he did at Alabama with Tagovailoa, with the older brother, what he did year 1 at Maryland. I've got a video on this stuff. Go watch it. Enos is not some pile of shit. I don't know why. It really felt to me, maybe he didn't mean for it to sound the way it did, but I just thought the question, the way he framed it, I don't know. I'd love to go back and watch it again. Maybe I'm I wasn't offended. I just thought when he said that, I remember when he was asking that, and I'm watching it live, and I'm taking notes, and I'm trying to cook my kids' lunch. I'm trying to do all this at the same time. And I hear this, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? It sounds to me like this guy's trying to throw shade at Dan Enos. I don't know. Teach their own. I mean, listen, you could not be a fan of Dan Enos. You could not be a fan of the hire. You could not be sold on it, but to act like, you're going from some, I don't know, you're going from a 2023, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a really fancy car, Mercedes, to like a 1995 Nissan Sentra. By the way, first car was a Nissan Sentra. It was a 96 Nissan Sentra. So it's not like, that's not what's happening here in terms of their resumes. So, I don't know. When Sam said, was that a question? I thought I saw a little stink eye too, but that's just me. Yeah, go back and watch it, man. It was something else, and even the SEC panel, one of those guys kind of said he was, how did he put it? He was offended by the question or whatever. Dan Enos is like a New England Patriots offense, dink and dunk before it's over the top. Again, you're going to see a lot of stuff that we haven't seen in a while. A quarterback lining up under center at midfield. You're going to see it happen. And you could not be a fan of it, but if you're getting results, does it matter? Let's see. Oh, Sam had mentioned the transfer window tightening up. He liked that. That was something that he liked. He was asked about Jaheim Singletary, that 5-star corner who transferred here from Arkansas. He said, we'll see, but he also added work ethic was something that he understood to be the case with him. Are we going to see a more aggressive defense at Arkansas? This was asked of him. I wish I had noted this. I don't know if this was asked by the media or the SEC panel, but anyways, he had mentioned a lot of zero coverage out of UCF by his new defensive coordinator. That is the question, right? Like how much more aggressive are they going to be on defense? Let's not sit here and act like Arkansas couldn't get after the quarterback last year. But Travis Williams has a reputation and did so at his previous gig as being a guy that's going to be aggressive. They went zero coverage apparently quite a bit. He wasn't afraid to send, and I saw this on film. I saw this on videos. He's not afraid to send 5, 6, 7 guys. I think someone had said they'd seen him send like 8 players. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to get after it. I don't know that you're going to see much zero coverage. I don't know you're going to see them play a lot of stacking the box and sending 7, 8 guys every play. I don't think you're going to see that because in the SEC, that'll get your ass burned. But Travis is known to be a high energetic guy and known to be pretty aggressive. Thank goodness he's got someone like Marcus Woodson on his staff. He's got Deke Adams up front on the defensive line. Like, you've got a little bit of experience there. Darren Wilson, another guy who, by the way, not getting enough credit as a recruiter, but Darren Wilson, another guy that's going to help with the secondary. You just hope that this all comes together. You got a mix of kind of new younger guys and older guys on the defense, but I really love that addition of Marcus Woodson. But with Deke Adams, who's a longtime veteran, I think they're all going to come to the table and come to an agreement of just how to appropriately attack these offenses in the SEC. At least you feel somewhat grounded, but you've also got this guy in Travis Williams who's not afraid to just come after you. I'm glad that someone brought this up. I'm glad that this is something we're all kind of talking about, like, oh, wait a minute. They were aggressive on defense. It kind of adds to the excitement because fans love that. They love that stuff when you're talking about being aggressive and coming after opposing offenses, going after them, sending 7, 8 guys. Again, you will see it, I think, just not a whole lot. And something else that kind of stood out to me in spring camp was at times we saw them swarm pretty well. You remember Barry Odom's first year, we saw that. His first couple of years, that first half of the season, how well they swarmed to the football. It wasn't just leaving some guy man-to-man, it's up to this one player and hopefully a safety comes over the top. He's going to help. No, Odom's first year, it was like they were all swarming to the ball, and you had guys step up and play aggressive. And they played around the line of scrimmage or behind it. First half of the season. Second half of the season, they just couldn't do it because why? They didn't have quality depth. They didn't have the quality depth, and we know that matters. So, I love that this is coming to the service about Travis because that is something that stands out a little bit, how aggressive he is as a coordinator. That can get you burned. And sometimes you roll the dice, and you can't be too mad at it when you get beat. When you got man coverage downfield in a corner, it just gets beat off the ball and right off the line of scrimmage, and you're sending the whole house at the quarterback or trying to make a play in the backfield, and your corner gets beat. It's probably going to happen this year. You're probably going to see that happen. And fans are going to trash the corner. They're going to go after the call to blitz. They're going to get mad. But just know that is the kind of guy that Travis Williams, that's his reputation. That and how energetic he is. Apparently the players absolutely love Travis. I'm loving what I'm hearing from the defense. And again, it's another reason why I'm really digging why I believe it's kind of formulating this idea that Arkansas is in good hands. Now it could be the other way around. Travis, this could be too big of a job. He may be in over his head. He's now a defensive coordinator at a SEC program. You never know. It could all fall apart. It could be like a game of Jenga. You pull the wrong block, the whole thing collapses. Kind of like I know it's a completely different scenario, but it's kind of like when Petrino was fired and what happened in 2012. You pulled that bottom piece that was responsible for keeping the whole thing up, and you pull that piece, and it falls apart, right? House of cards, that sort of thing. That could be what's happening on the defense. One guy gets a little dinged up, the whole defense seems to fall apart. Some people would argue that with Slusher and Catalon. When those two guys were not full go, the whole defense just collapsed last year. I don't know if that's entirely the case. I thought Simeon Blair was a bit of a liability, and there were a couple other pieces that just were so problematic on that defense. What else we got? What else? Let's scroll down here. Sam said we just have to keep – I believe this was Sam. Again, I didn't note it properly, but we have to keep him healthy. And so I think Sam was talking about KJ there. Landon Jackson. Now, I didn't get a chance. I still haven't had a chance to go back and watch all the player interviews, but Landon Jackson talked about his new defensive coordinator's energy. His energy brings so much to our defense, he says. And then he also had something to say about the Mizzou rivalry. He's a player. He's got to go along with the corporate line. I get it. And maybe he is excited about Mizzou. I don't know. But on Mizzou as a rivalry, he was asked. Jackson responded, "It's a big game. It's a big game." And he went on to say, "Trophy games I like a lot." So whatever. I disagree that it's a rivalry game, but I get it. He's a player. The players and the coaches will all tell you it's a rivalry game, right? And you got to be in the right frame of mind. With Enos, KJ is being groomed for the NFL with a lot more film study. I agree with that. I think that is absolutely the case. I think that Sam Pittman, one of the reasons for his hiring of Dan Enos, I think was exactly that. And if it's going to benefit your quarterback, then it's going to benefit the rest of your offense. It's going to benefit you on the recruiting trail. I think that was kind of Sam's thought process. One thing for sure with Enos, KJ will see the field in a whole new way and read it well. It's his hallmark. It says skills. Yep. Aggressive D is what we asked for. Again, you can't get too pissed off if they send 7, 8 players after the quarterback. If they're going to blitz, if they're going to come after them and someone gets burned on the outside, it just happens. Or you get caught over the middle. That's typically what's going to happen. A good enough quarterback will spot it. You know, if you don't hide your blitz well enough, they spot it, they identify it, and they go over the top or they go to the middle of the field, right? It'll be nice to have a quarterback with wheels as he needs them. Not a quarterback with wheels because he has to have them. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. It'll be nice to have a quarterback with wheels as he needs them, not a quarterback with wheels because he has to have them. I see what you're saying. That's a little bit of a tongue twister. I agree, Philip. Yeah, I mean, you're putting him in a little bit different situation. The reads are going to be a little bit it's a different dynamic, similar offense. Again, you're going to see RPO, right? You're going to see some stuff that you saw under Kendall. Yes. It's not all going to be a complete change, and sometimes it may feel like it, especially when you see KJ under center. I'd rather us get burned while getting after a quarterback. I'd rather us get burned while getting after the quarterback. That's how we just got picked apart last season. Yeah. Arkansas is better than you think. What's going on, man? Hot take, our linebacker group could be better than last year's. Maybe they won't, but I could see them being better. It's going to be like comparing apples and oranges because I think for the most part, the linebackers are going to take on a little bit different role. Like Drew Sanders lining up as an off-ball linebacker, right? Like that's kind of what he was. And I don't know. It could be. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it might be comparing apples and oranges a little bit. These are guys also with different skill sets, which is really what I mean by that. Do you have a Drew Sanders, like the type of player that he was? I'm not saying as good. I'm saying the type of player that he was. Do they have a Drew Sanders at linebacker? No, I don't think so. Do they have some guys that maybe can develop into that over time before they leave? Absolutely. I feel like we're going to have an Arkansas three-piece on offense this season. Quarterback, running backs, wide receivers. Tusky, what's up, man? If Enos is good enough for Saban, he's good enough for any program. There you go. I mean, now remember, he left after a year, and I don't know that we ever got – I don't know that we have – if we know why that was. Because if you remember that year, I mean They were in pretty good shape. We'll just say that. Pooh-Paul will be an all-SEC player. He was already a freshman All-American. What little time he had on the field, I say little. I mean, the guy, I made that same mistake on Mark Rogers' show today. I don't mean like he never played. Clearly he played. But he took advantage of the time that he had on the field and did well. I thought he did well. Obviously, I think actually he did really well. I'm excited about him. I'm not ready to put him in any category yet. Let's see him he's going to be the guy, right? He's going to be the guy at linebacker. So we'll see how he responds, but I like him a lot, man. I really do. Scrolling up here. Pittman also mentioned following the analytics, more do we know if Enos okay, so Skills is wanting to know if Enos is an analytical guy. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier about Sam saying that, wanting to follow the analytics and go for it on fourth down. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I don't know if that was the case at Maryland or his brief time at Miami or Alabama. I don't know. How about all the extra work KJ put on his body to make himself more durable? Yeah, and he knows that. And KJ's already mentioned that, talking about being more durable, being able to last a whole season. Listen, he's not going to run the ball, I don't think anyways. He's not going to run the ball 16 times a game. I don't think that's going to be the case with KJ. But he is still going to run the ball. You'd be crazy to not run the guy. He needs to have the ball in his hands. You know, he needs to be a threat. But you've got Rocket Sanders, A.J. Green, and DeBinion in the backfield, and now you've got a medically cleared Dominic Johnson. Let's see if he can get into condition to be the guy, to be one of the guys. That backfield, oh my God! You know, imagine if he gets to where he was at his best. Holy crap! That is an absolutely stacked backfield. Do I think that can happen? I don't know. Justin James said, I got the same vibe from Pittman you did. Quincy ain't playing this year. Yeah, I just don't see it happening, man. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Remember when being a Hog fan, do not get too high or too low. Just stay even kill. There you go, Shaheed Mustafa. That's it, my guy. That's it. That's how you do it. I'm glad McAdoo is getting healthy and hopefully he can come back to the team. Yeah, man, that was a blow. I don't think we've talked enough about how big of a blow that was. I mean, if he's out for the whole year, I mean, let's just hope they can respond, right? You've got these transfers. You've attacked the secondary, you know, in the offseason. You went after it. You want to fix the situations, right? You want to fix the issues. Yo, what's up? There's an admin right there. What's up, Eagle? How you doing, man? Mike, hope you're doing well, sir. Ty, I'm thinking that Texas A&M and Florida are pivotal games. We lose to Texas A&M, the record could look rough. We lose to Florida also, and it'll be a big disappointment. I'm not big on Florida, but you know what? I've done this thing before where I'm like, yeah, I'm really big on Auburn, and they're a huge disappointment. Or yeah, I'm not so big on so-and-so, and they go on and win 9-10 games. But I'll tell you, I'm just not that blown away by Florida. I don't know, man. Just not. He's more durable because he lifts weights. There it is. Hey, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Do me a solid. Make sure you're subscribed. Staying healthy is the key for the season. Our starters are great, but when you get in the 2 to 4 deeps, is where Georgia and Bama run away with it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, man, that's that QDM, baby. That's that QDM. Got to have it. Russell will be a beast in a couple of years. Arkansas on the recruiting trail, man. Just really impressed. This could go down. We'll see what happens. We got a long ways to go until signing period, but they could have a top 20 class if they keep this going. I feel like they're probably going to settle somewhere in the top 25, somewhere between 20 and 25, but we'll see how this, again, I like to say when the dust settles, we'll see where they're at. We get Florida coming off a game versus Georgia too. Yeah, there's just you should win that game. I'm going to tell you right now, spoiler alert, I've got Arkansas winning that game. Now, and it's as much to do with the schedule and the way it lines up, and we could talk about the bye week and all this stuff, but I do think too, on paper, Arkansas should be a better team. And that's not often side by side with the Gators where you're clearly the better team. I say clearly, right? I mean, at this point in the season, on paper, right? But we know that's not reality. Reality is what happens on the field. Chase Dunnigan, Texas fan here. What do you think about Sam Pittman's comment about wanting to play Missouri? Wait a minute. Did he say that? Hold on. Did that happen? I would love a link to that. Did he really say that? I mean, I know I was multitasking, all right? I am a guy. I don't multitask the best, so my attention isn't always 100%. But did he really say that? Chase, what do you think about Sam Pittman's comment about wanting to play Mizzou instead of Texas? I feel like I need to go digging for that. I'm going to have to follow up on that. If he said that, that's news to me. In one of the interviews today, he mentioned that Mizzou seems more like a permanent rival than Texas. Oh. Now, I did see where he talked about Oklahoma. Now, someone had talked about that being more of an organic rivalry because, the states bordering and whatnot. And I think there's truth in that. I've told you guys before, it was not unheard of. Even when I was 22, 23, or even younger, don't ask me how, but, on Dixon Street here in Fayetteville, fights breaking out or people getting into more verbal shit talking, between OU people in Fayetteville, River Valley. I've heard stories down in the River Valley, OU and Oklahomans and Arkansans not really seeing eye to eye. That's something I've heard multiple times, fights breaking out in bars. I do think between fans there is something there, but it feels more like, and I hate to say this, but it is the truth, it's more like Arkansas fans feeling like they're better than Oklahoma because Oklahoma's in the Big 12. I don't think that's entirely accurate. Oklahoma's been a better football program. Let's just be real. And I do think Oklahoma, listen, they've been contenders, you look at their BCS history. We could talk about their loss in the Fiesta Bowl to Boise State, but there's just more. It just seems to me like Arkansas fans are kind of looking up at Oklahoma, or maybe it's more Oklahoma looking down on Arkansas, and I think that's where these fights kind of break out. And now other sports, Arkansas clearly has some great history in basketball and baseball, but as far as the Texas stuff, I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't hear him say that. I don't know. In one interview, I already read that. Because of location. I don't know. If he was saying he would rather play Mizzou because they're closer, I don't know. Again, I that's all news to me. I had not heard that. He said it in a way that the SEC will stick us with them. Man, I must have just completely missed that part about Oklahoma. I did hear him say, of course he grew up an Oklahoma fan. I heard him talk about that. I did not, at any point did I take away that he would rather play Mizzou over Oklahoma. Again, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch, which, I plan on doing anyways. Coach mentioned that this has been the toughest summer. Yeah, I did see that. He's taken a team. Yeah, he did say that as well, Shahid. You're right. That was actually one of my final pieces here. He did talk about how hard he was, and the players have talked about how hard this summer's been. Yeah, it's been a rough summer for these players and the coaches. The coaches being hard on the players. Sounds like he really wants that one deep down. Oklahoma has been Big 12 tough, yet when they face real competition, they get beat down. You're not wrong there. They don't have a great – outside of their national championship, they have a number of just bizarre losses in the postseason, in bowl games. They just have some games you thought they would be a little bit more competitive in. My bad, didn't mean to spoil. No, you're good, man. You're good. That was literally like the next thing down here, the next little column. You're fine. Yeah, again, I'm gonna have to rewatch that. About maybe I just completely missed it. I would love it if someone had a cut of just that segment. I don't want to have to go back and skip everything, but I really want to watch that because I'm curious how he responded to the question about Missouri and Oklahoma, if that was a question at all, or framed in that way. Anyways, you don't want a schedule that's like, if you're an Arkansas fan, one of the things about being in the SEC is like, hey, look, we're in the SEC. It's tough over here. College baseball and football. It is just so damn tough. Look at Arkansas in baseball, right? Like they're one of even though they don't have they've choked in postseason. I'll fully admit that. They've choked. They have. That's not shocking news, but they are still considered one of the top 3 programs in the SEC's toughest sport, which is baseball. Football, you're not. You're either middle of the pack or you've been towards the back. I mean, that's just the truth of it. Oklahoma has it's different. They're in the Big 12, and I don't know that I think I can count on one hand where I thought the Big 12, at least in the 2000s, or at least since the 2010s, that they were ever anywhere near the SEC, and I don't even think I would have to hold up more than a couple of fingers. I mean, if Oklahoma and Texas are both down, that conference, there's just no respect in that conference. Yet in the SEC, it's like if Alabama's down, Georgia's up. If Georgia's down, it's someone else, right? Or before that, going further back, if LSU's down, Alabama's up. Auburn, let's not forget about Auburn. It's not like it's all been bad over it with the Gators. Arkansas certainly had a 2-year run there where nobody wanted to play them in 2010, 2011. Give respect to Missouri when they came in, even though the SEC East was absolute cheeks when they came in. What was that, 2012, 2013? They won the SEC. They won the East, but the East was garbage. It was hot, flaming garbage. What have they done since, right? Since the SEC East kind of picked itself up. Florida's still kind of stammering around a little bit, but the SEC has been the premier conference of college football for at least 15 years. You look back and you wonder, why haven't there been more 6,000-yard years in Arkansas history? I don't know, because you play in the freaking SEC. Maybe that's why. That's what's irritating when you see Oklahoma fans, Texas fans, Oklahoma State fans brag about their offenses. It's like, yeah, you did that on a molehill, okay? You were the king of that hill, all right? Try doing that in this damn conference. It's not easy. You're stocked full of first-round talent, all Americans. It's just the coaches in this conference are considered some of the best, if not the best. Obviously, Saban at the very, very top. It's just so damn competitive football-wise here, and it's crazy to think that baseball is this conference's strongest sport, despite how good the SEC has been in football. That's the difference. That's why you've only ever had 3 6,000-yard years. It's because you play in the most difficult conference college football has ever seen, period. Ever. No other conference has reached this level of dominance in the history of college football. It's insane. So you wonder when you hear people scream about leaving the SEC to go into a conference where maybe they could be a little bit more competitive. You see why they arrive at that point. I'm not saying that I agree or disagree, but you see why they arrive to that point. Like, damn, you have really got to be at the top of your game every year. You can't take a year off. You got to be competitive. When we play Texas every year, I guarantee anyone that they will see the realness of rivalry between Arkansas and Texas. Okay. Yes and no. From Arkansas fans, yes. Ask any Texas fan if they really see Arkansas as a rivalry. They're going to tell you, odds are they're going to tell you no. First off, you've not played each other on a regular year-to-year basis since you were in the Southwest Conference. You've had some moments. It wasn't that long ago when Arkansas beat the hell out of Texas in Fayetteville. That was great. Oh, it's beautiful. Arkansas fans love it when they beat Texas. Look at baseball, basketball, any sport, doesn't matter. Hell, if it's track, if it's a sport they give two shits about. Listen, I'm not the biggest soccer guy, but if Arkansas beats them in soccer, I don't know, have they ever? I don't know. I'm sure you'd see fans at least somewhat excited about that. Anytime Arkansas beats Texas or plays Texas, it's a big deal to Arkansas fans. I don't know that Texas that reciprocates it. That's the same thing. You got the Texas Bowl. You're right, Philip. But for Arkansas fans, it is still a rivalry. I think it has trickled down to the younger audience, sure. But it's nowhere near what it was. I do think there's a period of time where it was a legit great rivalry. I think, can it mold back into that if you're playing them every year? We'll see. We'll see. There's got to be some big moments, big meaningful games. Games that have something on the line, get Texas fans hooked back into this whole idea of it being a rivalry. I think it's still there to a degree. I do. I think it's still there with both sides to a degree, just less more with Texas fans than it is with Arkansas fans. Can't play Texas every year with this cowardly 8-game schedule. Elvin, are you one of those that's like all about the 9-game schedule? I just don't care. Like, who cares if you're why do you want a 9th SEC game so badly? I don't understand that crowd. And most of that crowd are people outside of the SEC, people who just hate the SEC. Welcome back, Horns Down. SEC officials were asked about the horns down sign being automatic penalty like it was in the Big 12. They said they're taking it on a case-by-case issue. I saw that. Or case-by-case basis, yeah. What difference? Go watch Mark Rogers. He's broke this down before, how much the SEC outscores other Power 5 teams when playing head-to-head. Look at the point total, the win total. Playing a 9th SEC game doesn't. If you're going to tell me that playing a 9-game SEC schedule solidifies maybe Arkansas, Texas, you might have my ear. I do want to play Texas every year. I absolutely do. Because I do hate Texas. I hate Texas. Do I hate them to the degree of like maybe, I don't know, maybe Tennessee? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. But I do hate Texas. There's like that natural. You can't be born in Arkansas and not have just some slight like, oh, I hate Texas. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a tough one. Save rivalries and we get stuck with Mizzou with the 8-game. You still could with a 9-game. I don't know that guarantees you that you don't get stuck with Mizzou in a 9-game. I think you're stuck with Mizzou regardless. Big Ten fans don't realize that the Big Ten West is so weak that it's laughable to compare to the SEC. Thoughts and prayers to all the people caught in the Oh, I thought you were about to do a joke. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. Tornado in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. The Pfizer plant took a direct hit. Oh, damn. Okay, my bad. I thought Shahid was going to hit us with a joke. I thought the thoughts and prayers was something about the Longhorn thing. Yeah, well, I don't know anything about that, but yeah, man, that sounds horrible. All right, that is going to do it. I do appreciate you guys. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. If you are a Patreon subscriber and you're not in our Discord, you really need to be there. I'll say it every damn show. You got to be there, man. That's where it's all happening. I did upload something to Patreon, just to Patreon, not Discord today. So if you want to go check that out. James says I would want LSU, Texas, and Tennessee as permanent. I don't have a problem with that at all. That's what I'm talking about. There you go. I agree with James 110%. Give me those 3. Drop this stupid-ass Mizzou game, please. That's JMO, man. Just my opinion. All right. Like, share, and subscribe on your way out. I do appreciate you guys. I don't know that there'll be any more content this week or not. I'll have to wait and see just kind of what I have going on this week. But if not, I'll be back next week. We're getting closer and closer to the fall camp. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, we're getting closer, man. It's almost here. It is so close. I'm so ready for football to be back, man, and we're just kind of crawling our way up. But yeah, I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys on the next one.